Good morning, students. Today we are going to start with a new chapter, that is lymphatic system. Lymphatic system. There is another system just like circulatory system, that is called as a lymphatic system or lymph system, which is also closed one in the lymph flowing in the closed vessels. So this lymph system or lymphatic system is a part of circulatory system. It is a part of circulatory system in which network of vessels present in all tissues of the body carry lymph and WBC cells and back to blood stream. It is also part of immune system. So lymphatic system is nothing but it's a part of the circulatory system in which network of vessels present in all tissues of the body carrying lymph and WBC cells and back to the blood stream. It is also part of immune system. So this is the definition for the lymphatic system. Once again I will tell you, it is a part of circulatory system in which network of vessels present in all tissues of the body which carry lymph and WBC cells and back to the blood stream. It is also a part of immune system. Coming to the next point, it is a closed system in which the leftover tissue fluid called as lymph, present in the tissue spaces flow in the network of vessels called lymph vessels and carried back to the blood flow. So in this system, the lymph, which is nothing but leftover tissue fluid, lymph is nothing but tissue fluid, leftover tissue fluid present in between the tissues and which flows in the network of the vessels called lymph vessels and carried back into the blood flow. So this is also one of the definition. You must remember this very well. Next point, when the blood reaches the capillaries, part of its fluid content passes into the surrounding tissue as tissue fluid. When the blood reaches the capillaries, part of the fluid content passes into the surrounding tissue as a tissue fluid. Even though most of this fluid re-enters the circulation, a part of the fluid is left over in the tissue spaces, which returns in the circulation through separate system of vessels called as the lymph vessels, as this part of circulation is a lymphatic circulation. This system is also called as the drainage system. This system consists of lymph. The first one is lymph, second lymph vessels, third one is the lymph nodes or lymphatic glands. Lymph nodes or the lymphatic glands. So coming to the first one, that is the lymph. What is the lymph? It is a tissue fluid which is a colorless, consists of blood plasma and lymphocytes. So the lymph is nothing but it is a tissue fluid which is a colorless fluid, consists of blood plasma and lymphocytes. Blood plasma and lymphocytes are the contents of this lymph. It is a tissue fluid. It is alkaline in reaction and contains high amount of fat. It contains the high amount of fat and it is a alkaline in nature. Next point, it is formed by filtration of tissue fluid lymphatic capillaries. In the lymphatic capillaries, it is formed by the filtration of tissue fluid in lymphatic capillaries. Lymph form a intestine. Lymph from the intestine contains proteins along with fats. Proteins and fats are present in the lymph, which is present in the intestine. Intestine lymph contains proteins and the fats. It is collected, next point, the lymph is collected in the lymphatic vessels and ultimately transported back into the systemic circulation by pressure in the tissues and skeletal muscle activity. So this lymph is collected in the lymphatic vessels and ultimately transported back into the systemic circulation by pressure in the tissues as well as by the action of skeletal muscles which are present nearby the capillaries. So in the systemic circulation it enters. Coming to the second one, that is the lymph vessel. Lymph vessels. Point number 1, the system starts with lymphatic capillaries. The system starts with the lymphatic capillaries, capillary network, arises in tissue space or between cells to collect the lymph. So it arises in the tissue spaces or between the cells to collect the lymph. Second point, they are thin-walled capillaries composed of single layer of cells. Thin-walled capillaries composed of single layer of cells. The lymphatic capillaries unite to form lymphatic vessels which contain lymph nodes. The lymphatic capillaries unite to form lymphatic vessels which contain nodes in between them. So the lymphatic vessels unite to form two large vessels or the ducts which open into the right lymphatic duct and the thoracic duct. Right lymphatic duct and the thoracic duct. These ducts open into the subclavian veins. These ducts, the major ducts, they open into the subclavian veins. The lymphatic vessels of the small intestine are called lacteals, and the lymph that flows through these vessels is called chyle, 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 which contain high amount of fat. The intestinal lymph is named as the lacteal, and the lymph is called chyle, chyle. So the intestinal lymph is a specialized one and it is having chyle as a lymph. Coming to the next point, that is the third one, lymph nodes or the lymphatic glands. Lymph nodes. They are also referred as lymph glands. They are also called as lymph glands, which are small bean-shaped structures usually present in groups along the course of the lymphatic vessel. So in the lymphatic vessels at intervals, these lymph nodes are present, which are small bean-shaped structures present in groups along the course of the lymphatic vessels. They act as filters. They act as filters. So this is the figure of the lymph node. Lymph node is like this. So in the nodes I will give you clear picture, and you can follow this one. So this is the lymph node. Now coming to the lymph node, the lymph nodes are abundant in the neck, axilla, thorax, abdomen, and groin. Groin is the area between abdomen and the upper thigh on either side. Upper thigh on the either side, that is the ಗೆಜ್ಜೆ. ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ ಗೆಜ್ಜೆ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಅದಕ್ಕೆ. ಗೆಜ್ಜೆ, ಈ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ ಕೆಳಗಡೆ ಇರುವಂಥ ಪಾಯಿಂಟ್ of pubic bone. The concave border of the lymph node is called hilum, through which blood vessels enter and leave the nodes. The concave border of the lymph is called hilum, through which the blood vessels enter and leave the node. The lymph vessels also enter through this point only. Next point, the lymph node is covered by a dense fibrous connective tissue called capsule. It is covered by a capsule, which is a dense fibrous connective tissue, which extend into the node as septa. It extends itself as the septa inside the node, dividing the node into number of lobules. Number of lobules are found by these septas. It has outer cortex and inner medulla. The cortex is made up of densely packed lymphocytes present in muscles called as lymphatic follicles or lymphoid tissue. So the node has the outer cortex and the inner medulla area. The cortex is made up of a densely packed lymphocytes present, called as lymphatic follicles or the lymphoid tissue. The medulla contains lymphocytes arranged in the form of branching cords. The medulla also contains the lymphocytes. The lymphoid tissue or the follicle contain beta lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, macrophages, and fibroblast cells. See, these type of cells are different types of cells. Very important types of cells are present in the lymphoid tissue or the follicle, which is present in the cortex of the node. The cortex of the node contains the lymphoid tissue, and that lymphoid tissue is made up of beta lymphocytes, T lymphocytes, macrophages, and fibroblast cells. The lymph node contains endothelium lined spaces called sinus. They are subscapular sinuses below the capsule and the cortical sinuses in the cortex. Then coming to the third one, medullary sinus. It is found in the medulla. The afferent lymph vessel takes its entry through hilum and pours the lymph in the sinuses. During the course of lymph flow into the sinuses, it comes in contact with macrophage cells, which remove the bacteria, viruses, and other waste materials from the lymph. So the lymph is filtered here by the macrophages present in the lymph nodes. The filtered lymph comes out and flows in the efferent vessels, which come out of hilum. From the hilum only it comes out, and this efferent vessel comes out and flows in the efferent vessel. The filtered lymph flows in the efferent vessels. Functions of the lymph nodes. They filter the lymph, remove solids and bacteria and viruses by action of phagocytic cells. Second point, they are major sites of production of lymphocytes. Third one, they produce plasma protein like globulin by disintegration of lymphocytes. They also produce antibodies by beta lymphocytes. They also produce antibodies by beta lymphocytes. Then coming to the lymphoid organs, there are about four lymphoid organs are there. In addition to the lymph nodes, lymphatic tissues are present in spleen, thymus, tonsils and appendix. The spleen, the thymus gland, the tonsils glands and the appendix of the digestive system they are nothing but the lymphoid organs. They are lymphoid organs, and in among them spleen and thymus are very important. Spleen and thymus. Coming to the spleen, the first one is the spleen. Spleen is the largest single mass of lymphoid tissue in the body, which is wedge-shaped organ. It is red brown in color, a soft lymphoid structure situated in the left side of abdominal cavity and the left side of stomach below the diaphragm. It is first or wedge shaped. Fist or wedge shaped. It is just like a fist or wedge shaped structure. It is red brown in color. The spleen is red brown in color. ಈರಿ ಅಂತಾರೆ ಇದಕ್ಕೆ ಕನ್ನಡದಲ್ಲಿ. ಈರಿ ತಿಂದಿರಬಹುದು ಬಹುಶಃ. ಮಟನ್ ತಗೊಳ್ಳೋರಿಗೆ ಗೊತ್ತಿರುತ್ತೆ, ಊಟ ಮಾಡೋರಿಗೆ ಈರಿ ಅಂತ ಸಿಗುತ್ತೆ. ದಟ್ ಇಸ್ ಕಾಲ್ಡ್ ಅ ಸ್ಪ್ಲೀನ್. ಸೊ ದಿ ಸ್ಪ್ಲೀನ್ ಈಸ್ ರೆಡ್ ಬ್ರೌನ್ ಇನ್ ಕಲರ್, soft lymphoid tissue situated in the left side of the abdominal cavity and left side of the stomach below the diaphragm. It is wedge shaped in structure. It is about 4 inches or 12 centimeter long. It is about 4 inches and or 12 centimeter long structure. So this is the structure of the spleen. You can see this one. This is the figure of the spleen. The transverse section of the spleen shows this type of structure. The outer covering is thick fibroelastic tissue called the capsule. The trabeculae arises from the capsule and pass into the tissue of gland, divided it into lobes. The trabeculae, they are the septas. Septas are called trabeculae. Arise from the capsule and pass into the tissue of the gland, dividing it into lobes. Number of lobes are present by this trabeculae. The space between trabeculae contain splenic tissue, that is lymphoid tissue, called as Malpighian capsules. Malpighian capsules are present in the tissue, that is the lymphoid tissue or splenic tissue, which are present in white pulp and rich in lymphocytes. They are rich in lymphocytes. Next point, spleen is supplied by splenic artery and vein. The red pulp fill the rest of middle portion of the spleen, which contain blood RBCs, macrophages and lymphocytes. Next point, there are number of sinusoids lined by reticuloendothelial cells. So sinusoids are also present in this lymphatic tissue or the splenic tissue, which are lined by the reticular endothelial cells. Coming to the functions of the spleen, both B lymphocytes and T lymphocytes multiply in spleen. B lymphocyte and T lymphocytes, they multiply themselves only in the spleen and play important role in immune system. In the immune system, they play very important role, beta lymphocyte and T lymphocytes, by producing antibodies and immune substances. They produce antibodies and the immune substances. Coming to the next function of the spleen. Spleen contains macrophages in large numbers which destroy the RBC that have completed their lifespan. After completion of the lifespan of the RBC cells, I have told you already, they come to the spleen for the destruction. So the RBC cells, they are present, which are present, completed their life cycle or the lifespan, they come to the spleen where the macrophages destroy them. They also destroy worn out leukocytes and bacteria also. So macrophages, they engulf this destroyed RBC cells, the lifespan completed RBC cells. Spleen serves as a reservoir of the blood. The blood reservoir is nothing but the spleen. It's a very important point. It produces all types of blood cells during fetal life. During fetal life, it produces all types of blood cells, 3 types of the blood cells. Coming to the second one, thymus gland. Thymus is a primary lymphoid organ which is bilobed, pyramid shape mass found in the thorax, below sternum and above heart and aortic arch. So this thymus gland is situated situated in the thorax below the sternum and above the heart and aortic arch. It is bilobed, pyramidal in shape. It weighs about 10 to 15 grams at birth and grows until puberty. Later it gradually decreases in size and then lastly it undergoes the shrink. It is supplied by branches of internal thoracic and inferior thyroid arteries. Internal thoracic and inferior thyroid arteries. So this is the figure of the thymus gland. You can see this is the thymus gland. The section of the thymus gland shows this structure. The thymus is covered by fibrous capsule. Next point, number of septa arise from the capsule and divide the thymus into lobules. Each lobule consists of outer cortex and inner medulla. In the cortex, there are dense collections of lymphocytes supported by branching network of reticular cells. In the medulla, the basal corpuscles are present. The basal corpuscles has a central homogeneous material surrounded by concentric layers of flattened epithelial cells. The cortex of the lobules are densely packed with lymphocytes, which are called as thymocytes. Next point, the stem cells of the lymphocytes formed in the bone marrow travel into the thymus gland and divide repeatedly to form T lymphocyte cells, which pass into the blood and lymphatic vessels. Thus, thymus gland takes part in the production of T lymphocytes, which become immunological components thrown into the circulation and lodge in the lymph nodes and spleen. So that T lymphocytes, very important types of lymphocytes. They are produced in the thymus gland. Thymus gland produces a number of hormones like thymolin, thymulin, thymosin and thymopoietin. Three types of hormones are produced by the thymus gland. They are thymolin, thymosin and thymopoietin. So this is all about the lymph glands, lymphatic system. The lymphatic system is short one, but it is a very important one. The lymphatic system consists of the lymph, the flowing material lymph, which is nothing but the tissue fluid, the fluid of the tissue, and second one lymph vessels in which the lymph flows, then the lymph nodes which are present in between the vessels, lymph vessels, or they are also called as lymphatic glands. Then there are very most important two glands are there, lymphoid organs are there in our body. They are spleen, thymus, tonsils and appendix, but more important are spleen and thymus. Spleen is a lymphoid organ and the thymus is the lymphoid organ. So this is all about the lymph system. So tomorrow again we'll start with the new chapter, that is the maybe digestive system, I think. So I'll tell you tomorrow. I will go through the notes and I will tell you. So this is a very important chapter, lymphatic system. They may ask about the composition of the lymph vessels, lymph nodes, the structure of the lymph nodes and the structure of the spleen and different parts of the spleen, as well as the thymus gland, different thymus glands, different parts of the thymus gland and the hormones produced by the thymus glands and the structure. So detailed structure I have told you, point wise I have told you. Please go through the notes, and these notes will give you the complete picture of the lymphatic system or the lymph system. So thank you very much.